Aloha! You are listening to Inside the Desert Oasis Room, episode number 212. This episode is sponsored by the Tiki Bar T-Shirt Club, where their monthly T-shirt designs pay tribute to a Polynesian bar or restaurant from days long past. Each design is available for a limited time and will never be produced again. For the collectors out there, be sure to check out their subscription program, where they offer a discounted 3, 6, or 12-month plan, or you can always buy shirts one at a time. For more information and to check out this month's shirt, visit tikibartshirtclub.com. This podcast is sponsored by Frogtown Brewery, an independent craft brewery and tap room located in Northeast Los Angeles. Stop in and enjoy one of their excellent beers from their ever-changing, diverse menu. Tell them that Inside the Desert Oasis Room sent you and get your first pint on us. Limitations apply. For more information, go to frogtownbrewery.com and follow them on social media at Frogtown Brewery. It's Ladies' Night inside the Desert Oasis Room, as we are joined by Addie Alonzo from Bamboo Club and Crystal Mendoza from Roxanne's and the Exhibition Room. On this episode, we chat about their dynamic backgrounds in mixology, their creative processes, their approach to competitive bartending, share travel stories, and more. As always, I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did bringing it to you. If you'd like to follow our adventures, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PolynesianPop, where we chronicle events, bars, travel spots, cocktail tutorials, and more. And if you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/PolynesianPop, where membership grants you early access to podcasts and videos, front-of-the-line privileges to new merch releases, as well as exclusive content, meetups, and screen credits. Alrighty, let's get into this. Make yourself a cocktail and join us inside the Desert Oasis Room. And give it up for my friends Addie Alonzo and Crystal Mendoza.
Desert Oasis Room.
Hello.
Aloha. Aloha, ladies.
Hey.
Thanks for coming to the Desert Oasis Room.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's
Oh my
so
God,
cute
I'm so
in here.
excited. I've wanted to record with you guys for some time, ever since I met you guys at the Tropical Shakedown, which was a fun day.
It really was.
Super fun.
Yeah. You know, like, all the cocktails there were really good. And, God, there was, I don't know how many there was. Was there what?
Six.
6 of
It was
us.
6?
Yeah.
So 6 full drinks. Man. So the tough part for me was not so much the judging, but was just not downing all of them, because after a day of just 6 full drinks, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any food while I was there, so that's a heavy day of drinking.
That's right. I just realized there was no food.
I don't even know how long it lasted. Like, how long did that whole event go?
I know for me, it felt like it went by very, very fast. But like from a guest point of view, I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I want to say that. When did it start? Was it like at the end of the day?
I think it was around, we had to be there around 5.
Yeah.
So I believe the event started at 6.
Okay. So, because I remember being there into the evening, so there was probably a good 4 or 5, even 6 hours, maybe. Did you guys know each other before that event?
No, actually.
No.
Okay. So you met there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody that was next. Oh, the only person that I knew was the bartender from Ordinary. I believe his name...
Jesse?
Jesse, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was slightly acquainted with him, but that was basically everyone else. Brand new people.
Now, are all of you guys friends? Does everybody know each other now? Or you're still kind of like just acquaintances?
Yeah, I mean, I would say now that we're pretty good friends. I mean, now I talk to Dane a lot more now that we have the Long Beach Bartenders Guild going.
Right.
Sony, I went to Socialist yesterday and he was bartending showed us some great drinks he's been working on. So yeah, and then he's also a finalist for one of the Fernet bartending competition that we're having on Sunday.
I had him here last
awesome.
month, and we recorded a couple cocktail videos, and then we also recorded a podcast interview, which I just released yesterday, actually. And he's an interesting fellow. You know, he's pretty well established for someone that's still on the upcoming. Mm-hmm. Like, he's already very skilled at what he does for a really young guy. What's crazy to me is he's the same age as my son. And so,
no,
yes.
Is he 22 or 23?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my son's 23. And so it's like, wow, like, I'm hanging out with somebody that's the same age as my son.
Yeah, he's very passionate and he's very inspired and very motivated. You can see it in him.
Always thinking outside the box.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, if you listen to his podcast, when I ask him, like, you know, what inspires your cocktails and how do you create them? What's your creative process? He says, I have friends from all different ethnic backgrounds, and I look at all of their ethnic backgrounds and I think, what could I make from this person's background, that person's background? And I thought, wow, so that's like having the world at your fingertips, right? Because you're thinking not just of your own culture and what you know, mm-hmm. you're looking like outside of all of that, you know. And then there's other things too, right? I'm sure, like, experiences that you'll have with, like, when you travel, for example, which I want to talk to the both of you about because I love talking travel stories.
Me too.
So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But before we get started on that, I want people to know about your backgrounds because, you know, the thing is, everybody in that room at Tropical Shakedown was really talented. I loved every cocktail except for one. I'll tell you guys what that is afterwards. which I thought this shouldn't have been here. But and I'll tell you why. But I don't want to call anybody out. so I'll tell you. It's not yours. It's not yours either, Crystal.
Thank you.
I enjoyed both of your cocktails immensely. Actually, what was great about both your cocktails is they both had that ube flavor in there, which I love, right?
Yeah,
I always grew up eating ube because I'm Filipino, and only recently is it really starting to pop up and everything, which I think is really cool. So seeing people get really creative with it, and I want to ask you guys is that a secret though, before I ask?
Is that a secret to what?
How you guys used ube in your cocktails?
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
Okay, because people have different ways of doing it, and I know somebody who's making a cocktail that he sells every year in bottles during the holidays. Mm-hmm. He sells like maybe 50 or 60 or more bottles of this premix that he makes. And he won't tell me what it is, but I think I figured it out. So I want to talk to you guys about that. So anyway, let's start with your guys' backgrounds because you both work at bars that I frequent and I enjoy. I'm going to start with Addie. I'm doing in alphabetical order. So
okay.
So Addie, let's tell our audience where you are mixing drinks these days, and then tell us about your road to where you are today.
Let's see. I am mixing drinks at the Bamboo Club out in Long Beach.
Love it.
On the east side of Long Beach. It is a tiki bar out there that has grown exponentially. We first started off just as a bar, and then the pandemic hit, and we slowly started to incorporate the restaurant with it. So expanding the food menu.
The food's really good there.
Yeah.
So I was there on opening night. I remember when Bamboo Club opened. The food wasn't really memorable to me. Or was there even food at that time?
No, there was just like little bar food in the beginning.
There was a guy that came in that started doing these burgers that were, I mean, like, you know, the brioche bun and all that stuff. And I had made a comment, and I was telling the truth, that it was the best burger, in my opinion, in Long Beach. And he was over the moon when I said that. You know? Because you don't expect, like, great food at a bar, right?
Exactly.
Because Bamboo Club is a little divey, right? It's not like a Trader Vic's.
Right. It has those dive elements, which I personally do enjoy. But I think the food elevates it into it.
Yeah, I'm not dissing on dive bars because I love dive bars too.
Same.
But, most dive bars, when they have to meet a food requirement, they put a deep fryer in the corner. And that's why you get buffalo wings and fries and onion and onion rings and fish and chips, and that everything's fried, right? So, but Bamboo Club is not doing that. So, awesome food. So, how did you find your way to Bamboo Club?
Actually, through the LA Weekly.
Oh, you're kidding me!
No, I'm not. I saw a segment on Bamboo Club, the LA Weekly, and I had just moved from San Francisco back to Long Beach.
Oh, really?
So I was looking. I was just looking for somewhere to work, and I was like, you know what? And I had came from. So how I even got into it was. I was working at a bar called Alamo Draft House. Well, it's actually a movie theater.
I know the Alamo Draft House.
It's a movie theater and that offers drinks and cocktails, right? And so I was doing that out there. Met some amazing mentors. Will Popko was one of the was the bar manager, and so I just had these really amazing mentors. And then when I came to Long Beach, I was like, I still want to follow that being in a bar. Like I miss that. The ambiance, I miss the just the conversations you have, and then so I opened up the LA Weekly, and at that time I was just kind of skimming through it, and I saw Long Beach's #1 bar right now, and I was like,
oh my
hey,
gosh.
that sounds really fun to work at, and I went to go visit, and at this point they were only open for about 3 months, and
so you've been there that long?
Yeah.
Oh, how did I just meet you now?
Yeah. I don't know. I was just kind of, we were running around a lot too, from I was serving to being in the kitchen to being back at the bar to being the bar back. And it started kind of off like that.
See, if I had a time machine and I could go back and to the times that I had visited there before, I wonder how many times you had served me or made me a cocktail or something. Yeah. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. And it's just such high volume. Sometimes we don't really get to spend time with the customer. Yeah. It's just like, here's your stuff. Thank you very much. Blah, blah. But and then I applied, and the manager at that time, she just hit me back up. She was like, we have a position open for you. If you want it, it's a bar back position. I was like, yep, get me in.
So was that your first bar that you were actually bartending?
No.
Okay.
I was at Alamo Draft House before that.
And you were bartending there?
Yeah, I was bartending there. I started off in the service well, which is we had two wells, and you make the cocktails for the people inside the movie theater. But it's very, very high volume. We had a movie theater that held 300 seats. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that ticket machine was...
So you guys were making drinks for the guests in the movie theater?
Yeah, for the guests in the movie theater. Yeah, and we had specials, so we were able to work around. I've never been to a movie theater
with cocktails.
Yeah?
There's one in Downey.
Oh, really?
Like a dine-in experience, yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun, actually. Though, if you were to go to a movie theater with cocktails, because one of my pet peeves is people talking...
Oh, yeah.
While I'm trying to watch a movie. Is that a problem with people?
No. For Alamo Draft House, at least from my experience, they tell you in the beginning, if you talk, you're out. You're out. No exceptions. You cannot talk. Because it ruins the experience.
When I've been drinking, I get extra chatty, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like as a guest, I've never seen anything go down. I mean, you'll just hear an occasional can open in the middle of a silent section, right?
Right.
And then you'll see the food runners going back and forth once in a while, but it's usually in the beginning, and then it just diminishes towards the middle.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was fun being able to make these cocktails for these people.
What kind of cocktails were you making at Alamo Draft House? Were they similar to what you're doing now? Because Bamboo Club, not only are they tropicals, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, people expect a more crafted cocktail, right? At Bamboo Club?
Well, they already know they're coming to a
because tiki people they're real picky like that, right?
Yes.
But then, so... the reason why I say correct me if I'm wrong is because, how much of the clientele really are tiki? Is it 50%? Is it 20%? If it's only 20%, then 80% of your clientele is not really, they're not going to be as picky about the crafted side of a tropical drink,
Yeah, I would definitely say it's somewhere between 70 to 80%. Our clientele are tiki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, the thing about opening a tiki bar is tough. What's tough about it is your patrons will criticize the drinks. They'll criticize the music, the decor, the food, the service, what the employees are wearing.
Oh yeah.
The whole like tiki
If your garnish is
ambiance,
wrong.
the whole escapism, the garnish, everything, right? I always tell people, like, open a Thai restaurant. No one's going to criticize the cocktails. No one's going to criticize the music. No one's going to criticize the decor. Like, if you serve good food, you're going to get 5 stars on Yelp. But a tiki bar, man, any little thing, they're going to knock you.
Expectations are high. Yeah. I agree.
It's a very critical scene to be a part of.
Even like if you open some kind of a rum bar, they wouldn't have the same expectation as a tiki bar, because tiki has all the visual aesthetic and so if you open a rum bar, again, like, as long as if the drinks are good, then you'll get 5 stars on Yelp, right? So I was curious about that, like the difference between Alamo Draft House. I'm sure that people don't care about all those other things.
No, I mean, we do have people that like their elevated drinks, but it was more of a craft cocktail bar.
Okay.
We served a lot of beers. We served like what I like to call like the adult milkshakes, which is like just milkshakes with some booze in it. And I did like the daiquiris, but that's where I learned a lot of the technique, because the mentors that I had, they were very, very good, and they loved their craft. They knew what they were doing. They loved talking about it. And like your daiquiri was served in a Nick and Nora, over some like crushed ice,
Interesting.
And, like, things like that. And we had to like really squeeze every lime. And
Okay, I have a dumb question. What's the correct glassware for a daiquiri?
a coupe.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
coupe.
but a Nick and Nora, I guess, is considered a coupe?
It is. I mean, you have your little sidecar, and then you have your coupe on the side, and you just kind of like, it's more of an experience, I guess. You could just kind of, dump your little daiquiri in, but then it also keeps it cold, because we would have to travel, right, from our service wells into the theaters. So to keep it cold, they would just put in a little sidecar over crushed ice.
Because when I hit the thrift stores and I see Nick and Nora glasses on the shelves, I always think, should I pick a couple of those up? But I always leave them, because I think, what am I going to serve in those? Like, I'm not a bartender, so I've had Christmas drinks in them before, like when someone does their version of a grasshopper, and they'll serve it in a Nick and Nora,
That's interesting.
I've had it that way before. Yeah, I had it that way at the Blind Rabbit.
Really?
Yeah.
With the grasshopper?
Well, it was their version of a grasshopper. They didn't call it a grasshopper. They called it something else.
I've actually had that one. I love grasshoppers, and I've had that cocktail. I just don't remember the glassware it was in, but... Well,
if I remember correctly, it was a Nick and Nora glass. It was my buddy Frank Bowie, who's one of my favorite bartenders. I have lots of great stories about that guy. And he grated Andes mint on top. And his version was just better, And I said, I'd love to make one of these at home, because sometimes the recipes are secret. And so I'm like, it's like, I'd love to make one of these at home. And he told me what's in it, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, so what are the actual proportions? And then no answer. So I'm like, all right. So he told me what's in it, but he told me like figure it out.
Figure out the proportions.
So I'll figure it out.
You have to come by Bamboo Club then, because I just created one. It's a rendition of Grasshopper.
Oh yeah.
But we made like.
So is that a holiday drink for you?
Yeah, it's a holiday drink for me.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's that.
I need to go buy. That sounds so yummy.
It's that mint flavor, right? Which makes it holiday.
Like thin mint.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Love that. Love that. So, Crystal, what about you? I want to know too about your background and how you got to. Now, are you more in the Roxanne side or the exhibition room side?
I split my time very equally with Roxanne's and the exhibition.
Okay.
My main focus with the exhibition was industry nights every week. So every week, different cocktail menus. So we're always trying to get active with our creative side, and especially just like tapping in with different bartenders. Like we like to switch it up. Me and Addie, on our way over here, we were talking about how her industry night was such a great turnout, and she was like surprised at how many people showed up for her.
Oh, I love that.
People love to come out and support. So I mean, every single time we have like a guest bartender or a different bartender, I mean, I feel like people really come out and support. But yeah, initially started at Saint and Second on 2nd Street. That's where I picked up all my craft technique.
Okay.
Their menu changes every season, so it's always been one of those, you gotta have a creative mind flow.
2nd Street in Belmont Shore?
Yes.
Okay.
Whiskey bar. They have a ton of whiskeys. Have you guys been?
I've not. So this is how old I am, because I'm an old man. So when I used to hang out in 2nd Street, it wasn't a craft cocktail destination. So, oh God, I'm ashamed to say it. I used to go to a place there called Yankee Doodle.
What? That sounds like fun. No, maybe it's like the Shannon.
It was way back in the day. This was 90s. So Long Beach was like a hub for lots of cool stuff in the 90s. So there was Barwinkles, there was Moose McGillicuddy's, there was Bobby McGee's, there was Yankee Doodle. These were all bars that we would go bar hopping. And I was in my 20s. So, I wasn't really into, and, in my defense, the craft cocktail thing really hadn't started yet, right?
Yeah.
It didn't start until a decade later or more, And so back then it was just all there were like bro drinks, like Long Island iced teas and Sex
And
on the Beach and kamikazes and all this stupid
fun
shit
stuff.
that people would drink together just to get drunk. Like, who cares what it tastes like, you know? So, Yankee Doodle was one of those places, we'd drink beer and do shots and that kind of thing. And it was a place where you'd get burger and pizza. And it was 2 stories. It was 2 floors with bar food and beer, Can you hear my cat outside?
Yeah, so cute.
I don't know if our listeners can hear one of my cats. I have 4 of them.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm leaving it in there if they can hear it. So, yeah, they like to follow me around the house. They hate closed doors. So anyway,
so they're knocking right now.
They want to
let
me in.
Yeah, they want to
let me in.
Are you guys allergic to cats?
No.
Okay, awesome. Because I've had people here before that are excited to come and record a bunch of content with me, and then they're like, "Oh wait, you have cats?" And then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh no! How are we gonna do this?" Yeah.
We're just sneezing everywhere.
I know, right?
Yeah, we'll end up doing a food challenge or something outside,
Challenge outside.
Yeah, but
Wow.
So continue. So how did you go from there to Roxanne's?
The infamous pandemic. The pandemic hit. So I was like, oh, you know what? I want to do something more laid back, something more chill, and ended up at Roxanne's thinking I was just going to be a bartender, but quickly went up to bar lead position, and then we took over industry nights, and it's been uphill since. And then I started getting involved with the guild, and that's a lot more projects now, and just throwing events also on the weekends with Roxanne's in the exhibition room, just keeping our creatives' minds just working.
Love it.
Yeah.
So are the drinks different in exhibition room than they are from Roxanne?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
A total different experience. There's a dress code. You need a reservation. On the weekends, of course. Monday nights, obviously a little bit more laid back. The cocktails are, they're like a special price for industry folks, but you're still getting that craft experience as well at a discounted price.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday, there's live music. So the ambiance is so much more relaxed. And then up in the front and on the weekends, it's a party scene out there. I don't know if you guys have been at Roxanne's, but there's a live DJ. Everyone's having fun. Just
at the pool table.
Yeah, at the pool table and the patio. So
there was a guy that was playing a piano back there one time when I was back there, and he was awesome.
Oh yeah.
You probably know who I'm talking about.
Alex Blanco.
I don't know his name. He sang, and he sang like really loud, like almost like he was yelling. But he would play kind of old timey music. Mm-hmm. So is that who you're saying?
Maybe, I'm not too sure. We do rotate a lot of musicians in there, but Alex Blanco has definitely been very loyal to the exhibition room. He loves the bar, and he just loves what he does. He's very passionate about his music career, which is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Love it. Mm-hmm. Last time I was there was for your industry night. I know the week after was Addie's. I apologize for missing that. I had another.
I don't forgive you.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it's always a great time doing things with Don Papa. Yeah, that industry night was a lot of fun. Oh, you were a speaker.
I'm gonna have those guys. Yeah, I was a speaker. That's why I was there that night. I'm gonna have them here in a couple days to record some content.
How fun!
Yeah, so Don Papa cocktails, and we're gonna tell their story as well. So
yeah, that rum. Ever since that competition, I feel like it really opened up like my potential and my inspiration, like to everything. I started submitting cocktails to competitions a lot more, and I just started getting involved. You know, I just started throwing myself out there. I was like, you know what, like, if I did it for this, why can't I do it for other things? So I started doing it in Orange. I mean, that's how I ended up with that whole Hendrix trip, you know, because I just like threw myself out there. I was like, I mean, the chances of me winning are very, very small, but I'm still going to go for it. Yeah.
But you know, that's the thing. So that's a great segue because I want to talk about that trip, but that's the thing about putting yourself out there. So I really believe in that, right? So like doing what I'm doing this is what I do for a living, right? So putting myself out there, there's a couple things that happen, right? You expand like your knowledge and what you know and your skills and all of that. But then it's also part of like a life experience, right? Like if you don't take your chances, if you don't take any chances, you're never going to know like what's on the other side, right? Because, you know, all the rewarding things in life don't come easy. They're on the other side of discomfort, right? You have to throw yourself out there. Like you guys entering that competition, I would argue changed the direction of your lives, because if you didn't enter that competition, you'd still be doing the whole same stuff that you're doing today, right? Yeah. But this would change, like everything that you did changed not only your perspective, but then like it took that path that you were on and it turned it.
Yes.
You know, and now you're on a different trajectory because you took that risk. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like if you don't know what you're capable of until you kind of set that foot out. You're like, oh, I can do it. Why did I think that was so scary or hard, you know?
And I feel like all of us realize that. You know, I was talking to Dane about it too. He was like, that it just gave me the confidence. Like,
exactly.
Oh, totally.
And you see it in a different, there's only so many bartenders that are actually dedicated to the craft. And, you know, we don't just do it just to make money or like it's just a job. You know, we do it because we like it.
You're passionate about it, and you always want to do something better for yourself and the places where you work, right?
Yes,
You're always thinking outside the box. How can I make a better cocktail? Like the next competition you're in, I've talked to both of you about this because with Sonny, right? Sonny was like, and you know, he told this to me more than once. He's like, you know, I worked on that cocktail for 5 or 6 months, and like we had game nights every night after work. And he's like, I stopped going to game nights because I was just working on the cocktail. I spent hundreds of dollars on ingredients and doing it again and again and again and again. And even after the competition, he still keeps working on that cocktail. Because I made a comment like, dude, every time I have this cocktail, it's like a hair better than the last time. And he's like, I keep working on it because he keeps wanting to improve it, right? So then when I talk to you guys, you're like, oh yeah, next time it's game on, because like I know. And so that's the thing, is you guys are always thinking of elevating. And I love that, right? You would never think that way if you didn't put yourself out there that first time. Right? You'd just be in your comfort zone.
Yep. So. It was definitely about getting out of the comfort zone.
Yeah. So let's segue into the travel thing, because you mentioned Hendrix.
Yes.
And you traveled for Hendrix. Tell us about that trip. Where did you go? How long did you stay? And
yeah, that whole experience was so thought through. If anything described Hendrix, was that trip. I wish literally everyone that's ever had a sip of Hendrix or hasn't would experience what I did, because it was literally out of this world. So they flew us out to Scotland, which is where...
Have you been there before?
Never been. It's definitely been one of my destinations. we got so lucky with the weather. It didn't rain. It wasn't too cold. Your
photos, it look cold.
But honestly, it wasn't. I get cold for everything. I'm always wearing like 3 jackets. I'm like that crazy person when it comes to cold weather.
I'm a California boy, man. Like
I come from Texas. I love the heat. Like it needs to be warm. Right. But yeah, we stayed in a castle, which was so magical. I literally felt like I was a princess.
A real castle.
A real legit castle.
I know, right? Was it haunted?
It's kind of creepy and eerie because especially since they kept a lot of like the furniture and the bed frames from like back in the day. But it was also like had a modern twist to it. So it was like very pretty and gorgeous. So the whole castle was for us, I believe there was, 12 of us. And 4 of the individuals that made up the Hendrix team. I think it was 4.
So how come there were so many people? Did they all travel with you?
No. So they had different winners from different cities. There was one from Chicago and 2 from the East Coast. And then there were 4 presenters that were traveling with us. They're all doing big things in the industry. Honestly, I was very inspired.
They're all from different parts of the country or
of the
world?
States.
Of the States. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we had the 3 ambassadors. There was an East Coast ambassador, West Coast ambassador, which we're actually really lucky to have in Los Angeles. The West Coast ambassador for Hendrix lives in California, which is amazing. And then the global ambassador, which is Vance, amazing individual. I mean, he's in those that week. He's like taught me so much, and it's very inspiring. Very eye opening.
Okay. So I'm curious. I don't see any Hendrix on the bar. So I guess we're not going to make a Hendrix cocktail.
We're not, but I am doing a gin drink, but I do feel like a little betrayal, right? But definitely,
cheating on your boyfriend.
I know, right? I'm actually working on a cocktail that is going to be inspired by that trip.
Very cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They have this certain Hendrix. It's called Hendrix Neptunia. They actually were inspired by the sea, by the coast over there in Scotland. So I really want to make it focus that on Scotland and my trip out there. But yeah, they even took us to like a salt where they make sea salt, which was really, really cool. So we got to learn about how to make salt. We went mushroom foraging. We went to the Gin Palace, which was beautiful. We weren't I know it's literally called the Gin Palace, which is the distillery, of course. Yeah. We weren't allowed to take pictures inside of the distillery, but like the little lobbying area, they have their own greenhouses. Leslie, which is the female master distiller for Hendrix, is truly one of a kind. She has the longest hair ever. I have long hair, and her hair is very, very long. But yeah, she's always traveling as well, so she's very knowledgeable in that sense, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. I find it interesting when you go through something like that to see what goes into a product. It helps you appreciate what's in the bottle, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I'm very good friends with people at Kohana Rum in Hawaii. And every time I go to Hawaii, I always end up at the distillery, and they do tours and stuff there. And I've done the tour, like I don't have to do it again, but just to see it from the sugarcane, the sugarcane just in the ground, to having the bottle of rum in front of me, like every drop means something. At least to me, right? And when I see those guys, or even like Frogtown Brewery is one of my sponsors. So, and we've done collabs before where I've helped make beer, and they'll take a taste and then they'll just throw it in the sewer, and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" Like, because you see what goes through the process, right? And you think like, don't waste a drop. It helps you really appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're around all these bottles, it's sometimes just like it's just another bottle, right? And you forget that, like that 20-year, that thing was put in a barrel like in 2002.
Exactly.
Right.
Some of these things are aged for so long.
The time that goes into it.
Yeah. And
you said they had their own greenhouse?
Yeah, so she gets very inspired by her greenhouse, and also like the travels that she does. She even has a lot of she has a cabinet of curiosity where sometimes they don't make it to the final steps of just like bottling it, but she has like a lot of samples that I know she showed us one that she went to Veracruz, and she distilled in the middle of the forest, like literally like just with the things that they made, and she has like a bottle of that, and just exclusive to her, with hopes obviously with it just hitting the market, but it didn't make it. They have the Amazonian, which is only exclusive to Europe. So I should have brought that with me so you guys can try it.
Yeah.
It's only available over there in Europe for right now. But yeah, I happened to snag two bottles. Yeah, I should have. Darn. Maybe next time. We need to do this again.
That's fine. Next time. Yeah, we'll do this again.
Part two.
Yeah, for sure. So what would you say you learned the most? Well, I was going to say not even from an industry perspective, but just in general, or both. I mean, like, what would you say you learned the most from that?
It was a very different experience because we also went to London, and I've been to London a few times, and this experience was like literally like no other, you know. They really focused on getting us to know that what everyone else is doing as well. So from an industry point of view, it was very eye-opening to see what everyone else is doing, because we did visit the number 2nd bar in the world, which is Tehran Elementary, which was a really cool experience. We also went to a bar with Shapes for a Name. Obsessed with that bar, everything that they're doing, and it's a very something that they have in common is that it's a very small bars. They're not spacious at all or anything, and just all the thinking that the bartenders do, or the programs that they incorporate when it comes to like the ice. What I did notice is they do a lot of like pre-batches, so it's a lot of like ready to drink cocktails, but just like they pour it over ice. But I mean, it only makes sense because you have to take a lot of time to do that. And for the service point of view, in order to pump out those cocktails, you need a pre-batch.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't understand, I think, because they want to have that freshly squeeze the lime, make the cocktail from scratch. Yeah. But sometimes you have to find a balance between
the time that it takes to do that.
You also, if you want that fresh cocktail, don't complain if it takes 40 minutes for you to get your drink, because they have other tickets that came in before you did.
And that's the thing that we run into a lot, you know, and people want their tiki drink to be out fast, but it's like, I have to do 5 bottle pulls, you know, I have to pull from 5 bottles, and it's like, it's not going to be as fast as just pulling one bottle, pouring it over, and like serving it to you, you know?
Exactly.
I had a discussion once with Jeff Berry that, he was telling me the thing about these tiki cocktails, right, is, of course, everybody wants fresh ingredients with all top-end stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, sure, if you're at home, you can make your Mai Tai or whatever cocktail it is with that aged spirit and fresh this, fresh that. You can take your time doing that, and you can use all your stuff to do that. But when you're running a business, you have to find a balance between not only the time it takes to prepare the drink, but also the ingredients you use so that you can still make money, because you're obviously not in the business of breaking even, you know? Right. So he's like, you want to use the best ingredients, but you can't use the best because then people can't afford the drinks, you know? So... Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that, and that's behind the scenes stuff, right, in your industry.
Yeah, a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and you can tell. And their menus, you'll see it as simple. They only have like 5 drinks on there, but I mean, you just start to think about the things that they have to go through in order to like actually execute this. You know, it's not as easy as it seems.
Right. Never is. So I want to talk to you, Addie, about Philippines, because that's where I'm from.
What part of the Philippines are you from?
I was born in Manila. Okay. And my family lived in Quezon City, but we're from Marikina. My mom is from Ilocos, and my dad is just from Manila. My wife is from Bacolod. I know you probably don't know where any of these.
No, I just know Manila.
So you went to Manila, okay?
I actually went to Baguio.
Baguio, yeah. We had my grandparents still have a house there, and I mean they're long gone, but the house is still in the family. It's in Baguio City, yeah. So tell me about that trip, because what brought you to the Philippines?
Well, I have a really good friend that lives out there. He was born out there and he moved over here when we were in like high school.
Okay.
And then he went back. But I have a really close knit friends. They were all like family. They're like my brothers. So he was one of them that went over to the Philippines. And I was like, you know what, Alvin? I'm going to go visit you. He's like,
Oh, I love it. His name is Alvin, too. That's such a Filipino name.
It is.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm going to go visit you. He's like, yeah, let's do this. So then I ended up flying into Manila, taking, I think, like a 6 or 12 hour. I don't even remember.
Oh, it had to be longer than that because I think direct it'll be over 12 hours with layovers. Like there's layovers typically in Hong Kong or Guam.
Okay,
and
yeah.
it
think it was an
brings it out to
18-hour
about like
flight.
16 hours. Yeah. So 18 hours sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I flew into Manila, and then I took a bus ride from Manila to Baguio.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Did you
So
get
it was
on a
very
bus or a jeepney? Was it a jeepney?
I went on the jeepney when we went around like the
Okay.
city of Baguio a
Okay.
little bit. And the Talawan, I think Talawan.
I don't know. Taiwan.
It's like a little arts community.
Okay.
But yeah, I took the little Jeep rides, and
Okay.
everyone is so nice in the Philippines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because I look white, but they just all stared, they're just staring at you. You're like, wow. And then
No, you know
I'm
what's
like,
different about the
it's
Philippines
crazy.
Oh my
is
gosh.
what's different about there and China and even Japan. Like in China and Japan, and this is not a diss. Their culture is just that they very much keep to themselves. But in the Philippines, they love to welcome visitors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you'll feel the difference.
Yeah.
That's
And,
my
I
dream
mean,
destination, Philippines.
It's beautiful.
My cocktail for the tropical shakedown was inspired by a Filipino dessert. My
Yeah.
best friend is actually Filipino, and she inspired
Okay.
me to make that cocktail.
That's great. So so your cocktail was the halo halo cocktail.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and they serve halo halo in the streets.
Yeah.
It's a street vending
Yeah.
item.
I
in the Philippines.
need to go, and I keep on asking. I'm like, dude, when are you gonna take me? Like, please take me. I really want to go. It's been a destination of mine.
It was
we should plan a
beautiful.
group trip.
That would be
That
would be
so
fun.
much
You
fun.
can be our tour guide.
Please.
Well, I haven't been there.
Please.
I haven't been there. So I was born in Manila, and then I came here when I was 3 years old, and I've never been back.
What?
Yeah. So
You have to go visit.
I'd like to go back, but the problem that I have is the main thing is I don't really have family there anymore because we all immigrated here within 2 years of each other. So my parents immigrated here, obviously, with us, and then each of their siblings immigrated here within like a 2 or 3 year period. So everybody was here. So we really didn't have family to visit there. So if we went there, we'd just be going as tourists, believe it or not, even though we're from there and all of us were born there. And now, like, both my parents, they've passed, and a lot of the family members, like their siblings, they've passed or they're much older. Like, I would just be going as a tourist. But my wife's parents and her brother moved back to retire there. And her brother moved there because he met a girl from there, and then they got married and they moved there. So I suppose we could visit them, but they're not in Manila. They're in Bacolod, which is, we'd have to fly to Manila, and then we'd have to get on another plane and fly to Bacolod, which is another hour and a half.
But I prefer the outskirts of
Sure.
those little I guess towns because they're just so much more like heartwarming, and also you really get to see the culture of the people around there. Manila's very city-like.
Right.
When I went there, I was like, oh wow, this looks like a little mini Vegas. It's just like neon signs everywhere.
right.
And,
What, really?
Yeah, like skyscrapers.
There's more
and
people in Manila than there is in LA and New York combined.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I loved to travel like around there, on the outskirts of all that. Like we took a bus ride to Sagada, and that is a mountain where they have this ceremony where you get to see like the sunrise through the mountains, and there's a ton of people
That's
there.
beautiful.
And it's so nice. Like you got to camp there, and we just got to see the sunrise, and there. You go through the mountains and you see the rice paddies. You see, and then they have coffee. They're known for their coffee out there.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, and I love that trip. I mean, everybody was amazing. I got to meet some of like like Alvin's dad, and where he lived was just all country, and it's just so beautiful, and it's just like the land, and you know, and he has a little I guess it's like a motorcycle, but that has like a sidecar to it.
Yeah, in Manila they have, I guess they call them tricycles. It's like a box over a motorcycle, but some of them are like 3 wheels. And they use them as taxis.
Yeah, like the taxis.
Yeah.
So that's what he has, and he was able to take us around like little countryside, and it's just
cool.
so beautiful.
That's so fun.
So beautiful.
How long were you there?
I was there for a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love ube. Ube
So do I.
was like amazing.
Yeah.
Everything had ube.
That's like the national dessert over there.
Wow.
Yeah, there was like ube cake, ube drinks, ube ice cream, and I was so in love. I was like, yes, give me one of ube everything.
See, growing up as a Filipino, right, like ube is just one of the dishes that we eat, right? So if you go to a Filipino bakery, you could get a cake, or you could get like, you know, bread or whatever with ube in it, right? And then in my younger years, like, well, I would say younger, like in my 20s, people would be like, oh, I went to this party and there was this loaf that was bright purple and they thought it was so funny. And I'd be like, yeah, that's ube. That's bright purple because of the color of
the yam.
Yeah, of the yam. It's a purple yam. So back then that was weird for them. But now you go somewhere and there's ube this, ube that. And like, it's places that think they're being progressive, you know, we're cool because we have ube something on our menu, and it's like, you know, screw you guys, man. Ube I've had like my whole life, you know. So it's funny to see that now.
Even Ambitious Ales released a ube beer. Did you guys get to try that one?
I have not tried that one yet. No.
No,
It's so good.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah,
so
it
I'm
was
curious
really good.
about how you guys are using ube flavors, because I see that there's like, I don't know if there's syrups or like they come in bottles. They just say like ube flavoring.
The concentrate?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just a concentrate. That's actually what I used for to make
Concentrate of what? Is it just a
It's just ube. It's like pressed
Like
ube.
straight up ube.
But we have
pressed
to-
and then they just mix it with water or something, or like
yeah, or like alcohol as well, because to preserve
yeah,
it.
to preserve it. Yeah.
But you have to read the label because some of them are artificially flavored, and then
Right.
some are naturally flavored ube concentrates. There's also a powder that
I've seen the powder.
that I discovered when I was making that cocktail for the Tropical Shakedown, because I wanted it to be a little more ube flavored without it having like the back end of the tincture, so to speak.
Did you make the cocktail with both and see which one? So you did.
I did, yeah.
And then the flavor, you just picked the one that had the better flavor, the flavor that you liked.
Yeah, and the powder actually gave it a brighter purple.
Right. Okay.
Brighter purple color.
Yeah, there was definitely a vibrant color to yours for sure.
Yeah.
It was really pretty. Really
Yeah.
pretty purple.
So the person that I know that makes, I don't want to say his name, the person that I know that makes his ube cocktail, I think he's using ube ice cream.
Oh, yeah?
Is he just
I think he's using the Magnolia. Like if you go to any Filipino grocery store, or you can even find it at like Albertsons, but 99 Ranch Market or any Filipino grocery store like Seafood City, or even like the smaller ones that you see like in these little strip malls, they'll have Filipino ice cream in them, right? And
is he melting it?
I think what he's doing is I don't know if he's leaving it out. I assume he's leaving it out so that it melts. And then he's probably mixing like a coconut water or a coconut milk, probably a coconut milk to dilute it down. And then he's just adding rum to it.
So it's just like a ready to drink thing. You just pour it over ice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what
Oh.
he'll do is he'll batch it
Okay.
and then he'll just pour it over ice. Sometimes like he'll pour it over crushed ice, and sometimes he'll chill it and he'll pour it like a coquito, you know, like in a coupe. But one time it just dawned on me because so we won a cocktail competition with that. We won best cocktail at Tiki Caliente like in 2018 or 2019. And because he was with a brand that used to be one of my biggest sponsors, that we did everything together. And we won. Desert Oasis Room won with that.
Oh my God.
But he would never share the recipe with me.
He's probably listening to this being like, ha, 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 you'll never know, Adrian.
And then one day, and he would sell them in bottles during Christmas, which, is highly illegal, right?
Right.
But he would post on Instagram, if anybody wants some, he was bottling them and he'd sell them for whatever, and people would buy them for their Christmas parties, And then one day I was drinking it and I thought, son of a bitch, I think this is the ice cream.
Oh my God.
Because it just had that flavor. And I thought, I wonder if I'm just too lazy to make it. But I thought I should go get some ice cream and then mix it with like coconut milk and then put some rum in it and see if I could get the flavor. But I even said to him, I think I figured out your drink. And then he started laughing. He goes, it's pretty simple, huh? And I said, it's stupid simple. He goes, yeah, it's stupid simple. And he never told me what it was, right? He was just saying he goes, yeah, it's stupid simple. He's like, but you just don't know the proportions. And I'm like, I could figure that out. I'll figure that out, right?
He gave himself away
trial
on that
and
one,
error, right? Like, oh, this is too coconutty, maybe dial back the coconut milk.
Yeah.
Or this is too thick, maybe dilute it a little bit more or whatever. You figure it out.
Yeah. If you do decide to make it, try using coconut cream.
Coconut cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the milk will be, it has kind of like a milky flavor already.
Okay.
Like coconut milk. I don't know. That's what we use for, instead of like a Coco Lopez, we use a coconut cream.
Okay.
And we just cut it with some simple syrup and that's it.
Instead of Coco Lopez, okay.
Mm-hmm. You'll get more of a coconut flavor.
Ah.
Yeah.
And you cut it with simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure out, I mentioned my buddy Frank Bowie. He makes a coconut cream that was just delicious. And I was trying to reverse engineer it. He wouldn't tell me either. And I thought, is it coconut cream and condensed milk? Is that how he sweetened it? Because I thought I tasted that in there, right? Mm-hmm. And then I started doing, drinks that had that coconut cream ingredient with that mix that I made. And it didn't taste like his drink, but it still made a good cocktail. I did a whole episode around it here. And of course everybody, they loved it, but it wasn't the same as what I tasted that he gave me. So I'm going to give that a try. So let's talk about your processes, because speaking of that, how are you guys developing your cocktails? Generally, and for a contest, if you do it for a competition, is it different? Are you doing something different than what you do to develop cocktails for the bar? So what's your creative process?
You have to know your audience for sure. Mm-hmm.
That's a good answer.
Especially you have to figure out who your judges are, but the last one that I did.
Who you're serving the drink to.
Exactly. It was a people's choice, and you can't be too intricate with it, because most of the guests aren't mixologists or hella into bartending, So you can choose your spirit. For this one, you can choose your spirit. I went with Tito's. So everyone loves Tito's. I mean, Tito's is very well known and stuff. So I would say definitely know who you're serving it to. And then my next step would be, okay, what kind of angle, what kind of story am I trying to tell?
Oh, that's
always about the story.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
The story. And then also, how does the story tie in with the spirit that you're working with? I try to go with that angle as well. And then I'll go with the color. So I'm I get focused on what kind of color I'm trying to accomplish with the drink. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I'll start to go with the fruits and the herbs, and then go forward. And also obviously trying to complement it with what the spirit is distilled with and all of that. And just try to develop a story around that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. You definitely have to know an audience. For me, right now around the holiday, everyone wants a holiday cocktail. Mm-hmm. So I try to be okay, well, what do I think about when I think about holiday? Christmas, nutmeg, cinnamon, chocolate, and then just kind of start from there and then create something like that. Definitely, I agree with you on story. A lot of my cocktails have stories too.
The stories are so important.
Yeah.
It gives it life.
Yeah.
I think that's like my starting point too, you know, like I like to transport. I come from a background of like being in the kitchen. So flavor for me is always something that I'm like trying to export you with. Even if it's something like a simple cocktail, you know, it's like this is going to take you somewhere else and you're going to try to remember this drink for the night, you know. So story-wise is definitely there. Like when I did the industry night, I did it all around my Mexican memories, from like going to Ensenada to Mexicali, bike riding in the deserts, you know, like what kind of smells I would smell and things I would see and the fruits that I would taste. And then I'd be like, I'm gonna make that into a cocktail.
Yeah, I love when
that's
cocktails do that.
Yeah. How hard is it to come up with a new cocktail?
It depends. I think a lot of it has to do with the ingredients.
Okay.
Because you can have an idea and the idea will sound good, you know, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to try to execute that. And then you put it all together and you're like, this is not good.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you just have to tweak it. You just have to tweak it.
And then you just keep tweaking it. Do you ever get to one where you're like, I just can't seem to nail this one down, and then you let it go? Or do you just put it to the side and say, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to keep working on that again, and then I'm going to get it? Or do you just say, you know what? It was a great idea on paper. I can't make it work. Do you ever get to that?
Well, for me, when I hit that block, I start to talk to bartenders, and then I just start reading, and I'm like, okay, I need to keep going with this.
Yeah.
It has to work. So I start making it at the bar, and then I just start giving it to either like guests or even with the bartenders, and
Ask
even with the
somebody for their
bartenders,
opinion, like, hey, what's this missing?
You'd be surprised. I mean, I remember with one of the cocktails, there's so many different spirits out there, and I wanted to go towards a cherry angle, and I remember Devin like, well, here's like a cherry vermouth. I was like, I didn't even know we had a cherry vermouth. Right, you know, it was like a simple little thing, and it made the cocktail come together. So I think I really struggle with just finding like that certain spirit that just brings it all together. Like that cherry vermouth like really did it.
And there's so many different ingredients that you can add, from like bitters to
there's so many,
like citric acid, you know, like things like that can really brighten up your cocktail and just bring all the elements together.
Yeah. So I have a question for the both of you that I ask every bartender that I've had on the podcast. So I'm thinking, real quick, we are approaching the 1 hour mark. And I like to keep the podcast at about an hour. So we'll close with this question. I do have a bunch of fun questions I want to ask you. Maybe we'll do that in the video.
Oh, yeah.
So let's do that. So let's close with this question. Let me start by saying that I'm a big fan of cooking shows. So Iron Chef, Master Chef,
I already know where this is going. I know where this is going.
You know what I'm going to ask.
Yes, 100%.
You know, a lot of these guys are celebrated for where they learned and how they learned. So if you have a contestant on MasterChef, you know, when that first started, it was really amateurs. And if you showed a lot of potential, Gordon Ramsay might send you to culinary school and say, young man, you have the potential to be the next great chef. I'm going to send you to culinary school and pay for the whole thing. Then it's a big, like, fuzzy moment. People are crying and all this and that, right? And then, you know, they get out of culinary school, and then they start working in maybe one of Gordon's restaurants or one of the other judges' restaurants to help mentor this person and really make them the best that they can be. And sometimes these people, and chefs like Gordon Ramsay, for example, are celebrated for where they went to school. Like maybe they went to the Cordon Bleu, or who they studied under, Pierre, blah, 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 you know. But in the bartending world, if you go to bartending school, people are like, yeah, right? Yeah. They don't want you to be educated that way. They want you to learn the hard way. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about that, why you think that is, because both of these disciplines work under the same roof.
Right.
The chef in the back, and the bartender in the front. But the cultures are so different.
Yeah.
So
Right.
my question is, why do you think that is? I don't know the answer.
It's truly crazy, honestly.
I think everyone has their own answer to it, but I don't know. Maybe because
Like, oh, he went to bartending school. He can't work here. Right?
yeah, you see that. Never put that on your resume, you guys. If you go to a bartending school, do not put it on your resume.
Right?
Oh my god.
No, I don't know. I think that maybe experience has a lot to do with it. Like, yes, you can go to school, but if you don't know how to handle a crowd, read a crowd, see, hey, you know what, I'm gonna cut this person off, or even how to talk about a certain cocktail or a certain spirit, I think maybe that's something that they see that as.
The school can't teach you stuff like
No.
that, like service and just being like efficient and fast and creative, like
Multitasking and you know, and like high pressure.
Do they teach those things in culinary school, or they just teach you like cooking?
I don't know. I don't.
I truly
haven't gone to culinary
don't
school,
know
but
the answer to that. So.
I don't know, but I do know that when you are in culinary school, it's the same thing. You kind of start from the bottom, right? They're not going to just put you as a sous chef. Oh, all right, cool. You went to school. I'm going to put you as a sous chef. No, you start in the prep. And then you go from prep to fryer, or from fryer to grill, or whatever, you know, the steps may be.
But if you were to go to a restaurant, especially like a high-end restaurant like Crustacean in Beverly Hills or something like that, Houston's or whatever, they're going to want to know where you went to culinary school. They're going to want to know, like, oh, you didn't go to culinary school? What are you doing here? You need to go to culinary school first before we're even going to look at your resume, right?
I think that
But the bartending thing is like the total opposite. right?
yeah, they're like,
your school is like whatever bar you're coming from.
Right.
You get an idea of what kind of bartending techniques you're using now. Yeah, that one is truly very interesting.
So that's an interesting...
It's crazy that you even say that, though, because now, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's like a Drink Masters.
I thought that's what he was going to ask.
No, yeah.
It's that, and well, obviously I was like thinking about the bartending school too. I was like, I actually saw them in Portland Cocktail Week. Yuzu and I forgot that lady, the one with the shaved head, the one with the colored hair.
Drink Masters?
The Drink Masters, they were out in Portland Cocktail Week.
So look, okay, so I'm going to say this about Drink Masters. As somebody who hasn't even watched it yet, look, I'm in bars a lot. Right? And I know you guys, the bars that you're at, I know the bars that I go to in LA, the bars in Orange County, South Orange County, and then Empire. I know bartenders all over. I know spirits reps all over. Like, it's my life, right?
Yeah.
And so when I saw Drink Masters and I saw like the faces and names, and I thought like, who the fuck are these people?
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
I thought the
So
same thing. Like,
I'm
who
like,
are these people?
I'm going to be a drink snob like that because in my perspective, like, should be somebody that we've all heard of, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
They're on TV, they're competing on TV, like, should be a recognizable name. None of them are recognizable. So right
Maybe
off the
it's
bat,
season 2 if they're
maybe right off the bat, to me that affects the credibility.
Oh,
You know, maybe
Yeah.
like I'm being too unreasonable about that or too snobby about that, but like, if you're going to compete on TV, be recognizable even in any little way.
right.
You know?
But I kind of like that they're giving a light to, like, they're shining light to an underdog, you know, because it is something that it takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience, and a lot of knowledge and technique, you know, to know why you're doing something or how to do it. Like, some of these techniques that they were doing, I'm like, I've never seen that before. What the hell?
Not
is
only that, the time constraints. I was like, there's no way they're doing that in an hour or how much ever time they give them. There's no way.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a little cheesy. It you know,
Well,
some points of it. I'm
reality.
like,
And cocktail
it's
making
like
does not
reality.
happen like that,
And
I
it
feel.
doesn't. It does not happen like that. But I mean, it was interesting to see some of the techniques that I've never even, you know, heard.
I should
before
watch
or
it, but
seen before.
I've already turned my
But it
nose
is,
up
it
at it.
is
I'm
pretty
gonna watch
cheesy. It is a pretty cheesy thing
Yeah.
to kind of watch.
It's on my
I watched
watch
like 4
list.
episodes.
I'm just
I'll
glad
get
they
to
gave
it.
us a platform.
I'll
You
get
know
to
what?
it.
Like,
Yeah.
we're an art.
Yeah.
We're not just pouring two things in one glass. Like, we're here for like the real thing, you know. So I really enjoy that aspect for sure.
I just know that, I mean, I've been to a lot of bar competitions too. I'm not saying this to brag, but like that month that I judged Tropical Shakedown, I also judged the prelims for Tiki Oasis cocktail competition. I judged the competition at Secret Island the Secret Island Tiki Expo, and then I judged. It wasn't cocktail, but I was also like a Miss Tiki LA judge. I've seen, I've been part of competitions, right? Not as a bartender, because I'm not a bartender, but as a consumer and somebody who knows cocktails. And I know like what an intense competition is. Like Tropical Shakedown, everybody there had their A game on, except for one.
I want to know.
I'll tell you after.
You don't know the tea?
No, spill the tea.
I'll tell you after. And, like, I just can't see this Drink Masters thing being, because even the judges, like, who are you? Who are they?
There were some people that...
Yeah, there
they?
was some... I forgot their names, but it's people that wrote, like,
Exactly.
book or...
Exactly.
I mean, David DeGroff was there.
Like,
Wasn't he? David DeGroff was on
yeah,
there.
David DeGroff was on
he
there.
was.
He was,
Okay.
the Cosmopolitan.
Okay.
And then there was like a pastry chef, a chocolate pastry chef. He's pretty well known. So the guests that were in there, I think they were pretty credible and stuff. But just the bartenders, we just kind of
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, once you're in this craft cocktail world, especially here in Southern California, it's so small. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows each other's reputations. Mm-hmm. I just kind of feel like, like there should be more
We just need
recognition
some
for
LA
who's,
representation
I don't know.
on that show.
So, okay, I'm going to get hate, put it in the comments below.
Right?
Tell me what you think.
I have a question for you, Adrian.
Yeah.
When you're like judging these competitions, who comes up with the requirements as far as what it is that you guys are looking for?
So
is it all of you guys, or?
That's a great question. So sometimes that comes from, for example, Tropical Shakedown, it came from Don Papa.
Okay.
Tomas specifically. So the spirits vendor might, the event organizer might, one of the competitions, the judges collectively decide. So, like, for example, one of the competitions that I was judging, we talked ahead of time, okay, what's our criteria? So, and there are some general criteria that you should be judged on, right? Presentation, balance, the theming. So, like, for example, the theme for Tiki Oasis this year was Caribbean, or like back to the tropics, but it was specifically Caribbean. There was only one person who made a cocktail based on the theme, and so like, you're creating a cocktail for a specific thing.
Yeah.
Like, are you even thinking about what you're creating a cocktail for? Just like what you said, you know your audience.
Yeah,
right?
that's one thing that one of my mentors told me when it comes to submitting cocktail recipes for competitions, that half of those people do not follow the rules.
Oh yeah.
They do not pay attention.
For the Tiki Oasis one, you had to use Kopali rum because they were sponsoring it.
Right.
Kopali, and I forgot who the other ones were. There were other brands. And some of these people didn't even use the sponsor's product.
Oh my gosh.
And
so you're automatically knocked off. Like, they don't even...
You're automatically not in the consideration. So like you didn't make a cocktail based on the theme of the event, and you didn't use the sponsor's product, or you used the sponsor's product in addition to their competitors' products.
Right.
That's
and it's
a
like,
big
that
no
looks
too.
bad.
Yeah.
So it's almost like common sense. And if you don't even think common sense, what are you doing here? Like, this is a competition. You got to bring your A game, So, and I don't have to be, like, in my defense, I don't have to be a grade A mixologist to even know that, to judge that, right? As a consumer who knows what to look for, right off the bat, I would already say, okay, take this off, take this, these are all negatives for you, So, right, we all do that when we watch American Idol, or when we watch, MasterChef or any competition. Like, we all know, like, we all have, like, oh, they didn't hit this, or they didn't do that. They shouldn't even, what are they doing there? They shouldn't even be there. Like the old guy in MasterChef who made bacon and eggs as what are you doing, dude? Like, you're on TV. Why are you making bacon and eggs for them?
That was me when I was watching Drink Masters. I was like, what do you mean you're making an old-fashioned variation? Come on, like, do something different.
Bring your A-game. Like, you're in a competition. You're on TV.
Punch battle.
Right? So I don't know if that answers the question. Like, you guys, when you did Tropical Shakedown, that's what made the competition tight, was the way that you guys used the Don Papa product. And you guys weren't using other competitors' products. So that to me, like, was that was of the summer and all the competitions that I had judged, that was the closest competition. It really was. Everybody, in my opinion, and I'm just speaking for myself, I know there were other judges, everybody was pretty much on the same playing field except for two. One, which was Sonny, obviously, who won, was a notch above, and one was more than a notch below. But everybody else was like, it was that tight. Like, it would have been like, if Sonny didn't have like all those extra things that he did, then it would have been like, how do we pick the winner? Because it would have been really difficult to pick a winner, you know. But Sonny did all this. Did you watch the video of him making that cocktail here?
I did, yeah.
Did you hear all the stuff that he did to make like this syrup and this thing and this? Like, he did so many things. Yeah. Like, it was so complex that it was just like, that's what kicked him up. And then there was one that was like, I was like, dude, like, what is this? I can make a better drink than this. Oh! So, and I'll tell you that after we turn the recorder off. So.
Oh, gosh.
Well, this was a fun recording. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you for inviting us.
So for all of our listeners out there, you're going to want to watch our YouTube channel because we're about to make some cocktails.
We are.
And I'm going to put the link for those in the description below, so you guys just click on that. And I'll also put the social media information for the two of you. Yep. And for the people that are maybe listening in their car or listening at the gym or anything like that, do you guys want to throw those out there? Throw out your socials?
Yeah. My Instagram account the handle is Warbat, WAR_BAT.
And mine is Cocktails W Crystal.
Awesome. I love it. Thanks for being on the podcast again. And for all of our listeners out there that want to follow us, you know that we're at Polynesian Pop. We also have a Patreon that helps bring this podcast to you every week. That's patreon.com/PolynesianPop. And check out the youtube.com/PolynesianPop. We're going to put some videos up there right now.
Thanks for listening.
You ready?
Yes.
All right, party people. Cheers and aloha.
Bye.
Cheers.